1 2, and I hope this is recording because I'm gonna try do it in one take. So how I created the astronaut with the headless astronaut for my latest little animation. It was a fun little project where I used multiple softwares to get the desired result and effect. So I basically started in Procreate and I had my sketch. And then with my sketch, I imported it into into Designer, Affinity Designer for the vector files, and from there I created my main background, which will be the galaxy, and in there I had the couch, and then within the couch I had textures that I used using the pixel persona in Affinity. And so within the sofa there is textures, and then I merged it down and brought it down to one layer so that it's easy to export. And then for the astronaut itself, I had vectors. I did in vector art and used the brush tools to get all my desired effects in there. And if I can zoom in, you can see all the pretty interesting textures I had. And like you go within the left boot, and within there I would use the brush tools and create interesting textures with the brush changes and rotation. I was using my iPad for this, so some of the features I can't locate them on my PC. But if you're using the iPad version, you have a tab which drops down where you can change the strokes of any art piece, and it will show the style and how to change into different types of brushes and have interesting effects. And then the problem I then encountered was I tried to export as an SFG file straight into MOHO for my animation so I can rig the character for the movements I wanted, but it wasn't importing with textures. It was just appearing like a blank, and if I tried the PSD export, it would show up as just the outline of the astronaut and without the textures, or it wouldn't read some of the textures I had. So what I then did was I moved into Procreate. I exported the PDF this and moved into Procreate, but I'm going to use Krita here for my PC because I do not have Procreate for PC. And this is Krita, where I then organized everything in layers and how I wanted to appear in my animation. And so you can see the helmet layer, the lid, because I was going to put flowers inside the helmet so that they kind of survive in space. That was the idea I had. Plants are growing into his helmet, and so he's a dead astronaut pretty much, and he's dead in space, can be on the moon or whatever, and inside his helmet the only sign of life are the flowers that are growing. And so I have everything layered up. The tubes that I was gonna animate, I had them in their own layers, different names. I like naming all my layers, so everything's got a different name. The leg, right leg, left leg. So I'm already planning for the animation, and so everything is preserved, the textures, and they all in one layer. So when I export the PSD, it does not like crash or anything when I take it to MOHO. And then so after that I did my edits and then move into MOHO, where I have a group. So in this group I like to have my camera abilities, so I can move the camera move all the objects without them moving like in its own little space or whatever. And so I'll let that just Control Z back so it gets back into position. Alright, there. So starting off, I then rigged my character. I can switch off the light and shades. Add my couch. My couch is in its own little group, and it's also set in distance. So to get that depth, I have set my distance so you can see everything is behind with the distance to it. Like there's front, back, and you know, if you understand how to create the depth and stuff, that will make sense to you. And then so I have my couch, and then in the galaxy in Procreate I added some nebula and effects when I was in Procreate. Added that in the land. I then came in Procreate, did some shading in there, and added the land that he was sitting on. And the couch, of course, the couch is there. And so that is all set up. And then I put a shadow under the couch. And then I rigged my character. And within the rig, it's a very simple rig because I know what's going to move and what's not going to move. So this is going to move. This might have moved. This might have moved, you know. So I was planning maybe do I want it to go up and down, up and down. And to stop this movement, you can simply just put independent angle on that, and that will stop moving, and you have something stable. And so I rigged everything because not much movement going up there, and it's just this moving up and down and that. And then so within this, I'll break that down. In the helmet, I then created my flowers because everything is all about the flowers really. So we can close the lid, and the flowers, they're in a little mask so they can be within the helmet. They're in a little mask. We have the shadow to create some depth in there, and the main flowers. And so I've got one plant, two plant, and the first plant. And they're also rigged. Each plant is rigged in its little mini rig. And then within the mini rig, I have the two bones that are going to move. I've set bone dynamics on them, and with the bone dynamics I played around with the torque, spring, damping, and the weight, and it interchanges. Like the other one has a different set weight and dynamics and etc. And I switched on the wind, so everything is for each and every plant so that they move by themselves and I don't have to animate like a loop or whatever, and it's just dynamics and they move with the wind. And then I can adjust them if I want to add more stuff or make them move slower, because I'm thinking just to overgrow it with plants and everything if I feel like. And within that rig, yeah, that's about it. The flowers are rigged in their own little rig within the rig, and Astro Boy is the main rig. And then for a little bit of editing, I added the light. Within the light there's 12 pixel blur, and I've colorized the layer to white, and so there's that. And then the shade, I duplicate the same like Astro Boy rig, and then I colorize it and put black and change the opacity to 60 and bring it down. And so that's the setup. And then within the camera tools, I then go to my main little rig, and I use the rotate, rotate layer XY, and then within that I can move my rotation to a certain point, and I set it up and rotate it at 1.5 and 0, and so it's got a little subtle movement where it's creating a little depth of field, so you can see this hand is in front, that hand is at the back, this leg is at the back, this leg is at the front, and the pipes and the tubes, they're different layers and distances, and it sort of adds an effect of illusion of 3D, so 2.5D per se, and you can play around with that. And when you move the camera, you can have little subtle changes in depth. You know, little subtle changes in depth and angle if you're playing around with a bigger background. There's a play on distance which I find really interesting. So you'll see most of my animations have a play on that. And so that's about it about the little animation with the Astro, and then I exported it to Instagram and added music to it, and yeah, that was my little animation, and I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. And I'll be making more tutorials. It's been a while I haven't made tutorials, so hopefully I'll be creating more and just explaining my mini rigs. Thank you. Subscribe, remember to subscribe, follow my Instagram. If you need commissions done, hire me. I am available. And thanks again.